Of course, it's me, God's comic Brad Stine, and I need to ask you something. How do we differentiate between healthy engagement and protecting our environment, and when is it over the top and oppressive? And if you don't know, then that means the earth is going to die. Too much? Come on in. I spilled some milk on the table the other day, and it poured onto the wood floors, made a mess. Potentially went into the cracks, and it's going to sour and stink if I can't get all of it cleaned up. In other words, it's created an environmental disaster. Consequently, with such a catastrophe and the potential for this to happen again, well, I have no choice but to begin to reevaluate whether we should still be allowing cows to exist. Their production of milk has been beneficial over the years, but whenever there is a spill, it really drives home the point of whether they are really worth the risk. I mean, we're a much more enlightened and eco-aware culture than we were when milk was first pumped and harvested without any concern or awareness of the potential for disaster. I mean, is milk and cheese and beef and leather really that important in the scheme of things when we have an environment to protect? Not to mention, I'm incredibly disturbed by the fact that cows are female, and yet we are extracting her milk, which she had intended for her children. So what gives us that right? Let alone the fact that we're touching her breasts without her consent, which is the equivalent of sexual harassment. Why is the Me Too movement not all over this? They tell us that humans are the only mammals to drink milk once they reach adulthood. And that's true, but there's a logical explanation. We're the only ones of God's creation innovative enough to invent ice cream. Plus, would we even have considered invented cookies if milk had never existed? Not to mention how wonderfully milk complements Captain Crunch. Can you imagine cereal without milk? We would have to resort to water, I guess, or someone would have had to be innovative enough to try root beer, which sounds good, actually, now that I mention it. When people speak of protecting the environment, they always act as though it is a she. Mother Nature has been the colloquialism throughout the years. We have to save the environment as though it's screaming for mercy. So the implication is because nature is a woman, apparently she is incapable of defending herself and must rely on the strength and ingenuity of men to intervene. Scientific men, I might add, since there are more men entering the field of science than women. Now, am I saying on average men are somehow smarter than women? Yeah, of course. I don't believe that, but because I'm told I'm not allowed to make a joke like that anymore, I just do it. I'll do it again. Men are smarter than women. But notice, even though the joke was uttered, and when I say uttered, it's just a callback to cows, no woman was injured. No one was suddenly abused or marginalized. Look, incredibly, women are still respected and loved and necessary for men's survival. Somehow, don't ask me how, but somehow, even with the obviously sarcastic, silly joke, men are smarter than women, women are still allowed to vote. Why some of them are still in public office and are CEOs of major multi-billion-dollar companies? Well, yeah, still. Even though I made the joke men are smarter than women, women are still able to go to college, and somehow, even with that joke hanging in the air, women are still here sitting next to men and yet considered equal. And we're even giving them the benefit of the doubt that they actually got the joke without having a mental or emotional breakdown. Somehow, no matter what the wokeists have told you, apparently, women, and this is going to be hard to fathom, but apparently they aren't as fragile as we've surmised up until now. In other words, All you woke people out there, do us all a favor. Go back to sleep. Sorry I got off on a tangent there, but I was supposed to be talking about the destruction of the environment, thanks to cows. But there was more to take in than that. I laughed about the oversensitivity of woke culture to anything female, as well as the overreaction to anything that serves man over the environment. You see, the missing piece to all woke environmentalists, the environment, is actually only valuable because we are in it. Its only purpose is to give us a place to breathe and eat and play and love and worship. It's about us, and only we matter because we are the crowning, the only living beings in the universe that can actually observe the environment and draw conclusions about how to best protect it. Because we as humans, as I said, are the crowning achievement of God's creation. The environment is our earthly residence, and so to damage or destroy it's really cutting our own throats. Being respectful of our earth certainly is important, but it's more important to be aware why we protect it. Because God told us to. God literally commissioned humans to tend to the garden, but also to take dominion over it. We were allowed and encouraged and expected to use what we could to try and make our world even better than it is. But here's where it gets out of balance. You will watch as environmentalists will begin to denigrate humans and our existence as the bane on the earth. They are virtually always claiming that man is the greatest threat to the earth, that man is going to destroy this beautiful habitat, and that if man were only eliminated, the earth could return to its pristine splendor. By the way, this is the only area where the use of the word man, I noticed, is not considered sexist or gender inappropriate. No, the historic use of the word man that used to always include all of humanity, but has been ditched for more inclusive words, person. Suddenly man is a perfect fit as long as it's used to denigrate man. You never hear the wokest whimpering that if only person was more sensitive to the environment, we could all survive. The psychosis of the woke environmentalist is that they despise humanity and believe we are the cancer that needs to be eliminated. And so let me take this moment to agree with you. Humans need to go. So all I ask is we start with you. When all of you earth worshipers eliminate yourselves first, just to get the ball rolling so the rest of us can evaluate it, we'll see if it worked. But of course, what you never see from the leftist ideology is that they are included in the mix. No, they never have to sacrifice their cell phones or plane rides or computers or fossil fuels or plastics because they alone need to be the overseers that have appointed themselves, the caretakers that get to dictate for the rest of us what we have to sacrifice. If you ever get lectured by an environmentalist that isn't living off the grid, trapping their own food, building their own shelter from fallen branches, and drinking their own urine, you have only to do one thing to respond responsibly. Just one thing. Ignore them. They are crazy. This is God's comic, Brad Stine. Joking about ladies and milk and udders and cows. Could you take it? PC free, folks. I promise is liberty. Hey, do you want to save the planet? Go subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. As a matter of fact, if I don't get 500 subscribers today, the planet will implode. Sorry. That's what the environmentalists have been telling me. And by the way, go to my Facebook page, like and share that too. We're getting some numbers, and soon you're going to see a lot of new projects on the horizon. But I need your subscriptions. Right now, please subscribe. Thanks.